Great. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the screencast. I'm using Screencast-O-Matic for this. I'll share the tool with you because I think you'll find it really useful. You'll notice there's a picture-in-picture in the top corner as well as the main part of the screen. I'm going to break this down into a couple of clips, so we'll call this Chapter 1. So we've had a look at the 21st century learning design material that's been presented. I'm just going to jump around some of the parts within there on the screen, just sharing this PDF document with you. So if you remember, this material came from the ITL research. So the ITL research had identified and used a definition of 21st century skills: knowledge construction, self-regulation, skilled communication, problem solving, problem finding, ICT use. It also does include intercultural understandings. And we've looked at how those closely match with the general capabilities from the Australian curriculum, and we've also had a go at having a look at where they even sit against St John's Grammar SOAR. So that's the connection. The two that we're really focusing in on for our coursework is around knowledge construction and the use of ICT. So recognising the other 21st century skills are there, but when you're designing or redesigning a lesson, what we want to focus in on is how do we use ICT to really develop in students knowledge construction. Okay, and that's why this course is underpinned by a learning theory which focuses very much on a social constructionist theory of learning. Okay, so there's the knowledge construction one that's sitting on page 24. You can view that at your leisure. The other one on page 62 is ICT for learning. So we're going to spend a bit of time focusing in on this one particularly. So this will be page 62. You've had a chance to have a read through this already, but big questions. Do learners have opportunities to use ICT? Do learners use it to construct knowledge? So it's that knowledge construction again. Does it add value to the learning? So could they have engaged in that task without technology? Do learners use ICT to design and create new ideas and products and solutions for real audiences or users? And does learner use of ICT demonstrate ethics, appropriate social ethical protocols? And they're really well detailed in the general capabilities. So they're the big questions that frame the choosing and using of technology in the learning context there. Let's just move on. So you can see here those big ideas have been unpacked and rubrics have been generated just with some suggestions about whether it's a yes or a no. Probably this page is the page I'm really interested in. ICT used to construct knowledge and add value. So I know we've had a look at this at our last face-to-face session. Just reminding you using this screencast. And you've got a copy of this in Flow as well. It was in the 31st of March to 6th of April. Okay, so let's just go to the flow chart. There's a new app that's been released on the App Store, which I'll share with you, providing you've got Windows 8.1. So again, do the learners have an opportunity to use ICT? It's a yes or it's a no. Is it required to construct knowledge and add values to learning? Yes or no. Learners use ICT to create new ideas or ideas that are new and meaningful to them for authentic users. Okay, it's a yes or a no. And then is there an ethical social protocol that's being used here? Now, the suggestion isn't that every lesson using technology is going to involve using technology at that level. But as we've talked about before, the problem is where it remains at the substitution level in the SAMR model and it doesn't progress beyond that. So I think what the decision steps allow us to do is to re-look at some learning design and provide some questions which can challenge us to move from substitution to augmentation to redesign and to transformation, to at least explore what the possibilities might be for the use of technology to personalize and to extend learning. Okay. Okay, let's jump on to another page. Okay, so you can see on the screen at the moment the learning activity exemplars. They could be called anchor lessons. They're lesson plans, and accompanying them are examples of student work. And this is what the researchers used to develop their coding rubric. Okay, so the ones again that we're interested in: knowledge construction would be very handy for you to have a read through House on Mango Street, Design a Catapult, Indigenous Cultures. I'll show you where the coding is as well. Use of ICT for learning. As a group, we've already looked at Munting Mungo, the bean, and we're going to be having a look in this webcast at the Great Train Internet activity. I'm just going to jump to page 166 in your book. So page 166 has got the coding. Okay, so we've got, you can see our activity from the other week. Munting Mungo Tiny Mung Bean was coded as a 1 for ICT for learning. Okay, maybe in another area too. Nice to see that pop up on the screen. Students typed the final worksheet that they submitted, but ICT was not used to construct knowledge. Okay, so we saw that one. That's good. Now, if we just have a look, and apologies, this is just outside your screen, I think. I don't know whether I can resolve that. Let me just try. Okay, I think I've sort of fixed that up for you enough. You can just see. So again, we can see, if we look down the title list, you can see Munting Mungo. It was coded as a 1 for use of ICT. Now, the one that we're going to have a look at is to do with this activity here, which is Great Train Internet, the first one. So it's been coded both for self-regulation, and it's also been coded for use of ICT. So it's received a 1, the same as Tiny Mung Bean for ICT, and it's received a 3 for self-regulation. Let's have a closer look at this particular activity. So just give me a moment. Okay, so here's another example of a number 1 for use of ICT. It's the Great Train Internet. It's for obviously middle school students. The purpose here isn't for us to get better at planning for middle school students, unless you are a teacher there, but to engage in a redesign. So I'm not going to get you to code this. It's already a 1, and you can read why that's a 1. So we've got the learning goals. We've got examples about how the students were required to work. We've got the information provided to the students, the student work cover sheet, and then there's even some samples of the students' PowerPoint presentations. Okay, here and here and here. Okay, so let's go back to the start. So here we have an example of a piece of learning design that's currently a 1. What I'm going to be asking for you to do is to shift this beyond a 1, to shift it to a 2, or to shift it to a 3. To do this, you're going to need to refer back to the ICT for learning, and you're going to need to really carefully go through and have a look at those examples and have a look back at those big idea questions, to walk through the current rubric and to consider where it is that you might make some shifts and changes. Remember, on page 166 it tells us why the rationale behind scoring this a 1. So there are some shifts in there I'm sure that you can make. And the simple template that we're going to use will look like this one. So we don't need to complete the top part. We already know use of ICT for learning, it's a 1. But post coding, what I'm going to get you to do is to consider the shifts that you would make in that learning design, to drop them down in this box below, and to recode your new lesson. So let's say you've made some changes to the pedagogy, the technology, the content knowledge looks okay. How would you rank your altered version of that particular lesson, Great Train Internet? Can you get it to a 2? Or can you get it to a 3? Or ambitiously, could it be a 4? So there's not a lot of writing to do in here, but I would imagine it would be fairly full of detail. So summarize for me within there the major shifts that strengthen that learning activity to move it along. Important work. Good luck.